friends. Welcome back to Connectedness. I'm so glad you're here. Today's guest is someone I've been watching on TikTok for a while now, and honestly, her story hit me right in the chest. Her name is Evan Oliver, and a few years ago, she moved to Charlotte in her 30s with her partner, ready for a new chapter. Then, almost immediately, she lost her job. No local friends, no family nearby, just her in a new city trying to figure out how to build a life from scratch. If that sounds familiar to you, and it does to me, if you've ever moved somewhere new and felt that particular kind of lonely, the kind where you're surrounded by people, but nobody actually knows you yet, then this episode is for you. Instead of hiding that season of her life, Evan did something brave. She documented it. She called it Moving Diaries on TikTok. And it's so honest and so real. What started with her just being open about a hard time turned into something bigger. She started connecting with other local women, hosting meetups, started a book club, and building an actual community around her. I wanted to have Evan on because her story is exactly what this podcast is about. Friendship as adults does not just happen to us. We have to go out and build it. Sometimes one brave post or one nervous first meetup at a time. So let me head it over to Evan. Evan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Let's start from the beginning. Take us back to when you first moved to Charlotte and what was going on through your mind those first few weeks.
I mean, it was definitely scary. The first week we moved here, and this was just last year. So this was 2025 when we moved. And the first week, my husband and I had both taken time off work because we wanted to move and get settled into our new home. And so we just kind of went around and we did a bunch of things. We went to all the local restaurants and breweries and did stuff, kind of get to know the area with our daughter. And then the second week, I went back to work, as did he. And by that Friday, I was laid off. And I was so caught off guard. I'm sure as many people have been laid off a million times. It's nothing new. But I was really stressed because, as you said, I just moved to a new city. I didn't know anybody. And when we chose Charlotte, I mean, we truly did not know a soul when we moved here. We knew a couple of people that I had worked with previously in Raleigh, but that was it. So it was really like we're starting over. And I'm a person who really thrives on community. And the big reason we actually picked Charlotte and sort of like suburbia compared to where we used to be in Los Angeles was because we wanted to build a community, especially now that we had our little girl who at the time was 10 months old. So I had not really used TikTok in the past. I'd used it a couple of times, but it wasn't really a platform that I'd used. But for some reason, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go on TikTok and post a little video and say like, hey, I just moved here. I don't know anyone. I just got laid off. Does anybody here want to be friends? And I'm thinking maybe one or two people would see this video. Again, I hadn't posted. I posted a few times. I hadn't posted in over a year at least. And it was just, I didn't have any friends on there or anything. And for whatever reason, TikTok did the thing that it does sometimes. And that post ended up going viral for the area. And I got over 700 messages and comments from women in Charlotte who are in a very similar situation. Either they had been new to the area and hadn't really made their friends yet, or they were they'd been here for a long time, but they felt like they didn't really have that friend group. And so I started meeting with them one by one. At this point, it's been a little over a year. I've met up with over 100 of those women. And that doesn't include the different meetups I've done with bigger groups of people as well. But I really made a point to try to meet up with each person and see, who I connected with and who I didn't. And for me, coming to the South was a big change. I was very used to a very specific friend group that I had, that I've had for a very long time. And everything is different. The political values, the religious views, everything was really different around here. So I had to really kind of navigate that as well and see, okay, well, these people are really nice. And we were talking for 2 seconds on, a comment, but do we actually have anything in common? And are these people that I can be friends with long-term and trying to kind of understand that? So, it was a lot of, I don't want to say it was trial and error because it wasn't really trial and error. It was more not allowing myself to give up, and I just continued to try. And even if someone, I was like, I don't know if this is really my person, I still made a point to meet up with them. I still made a point to text them afterwards and say thank you. But one of the things that I tried to do that I think helped me in this situation was, for, I would say, about like 90% of the people that I met up with, after we hung out, I would kind of let the ball be in their court, and I would let them, reach back out to me if they wanted to, because I was a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of people that I had been lucky enough to connect with.
Yeah,
So I did sort of leave that in their court. I gave them the text and said, I had a great time. Thank you for hanging out. Let me know if you ever want to hang out again. And a lot of them did. Some of them, we've still stayed connected online. We haven't really hung out any more than that. But I will say, in this last year, I've made some of the best friends I've ever had.
that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and then on top of that, I'm a very social person, and I'm a
Yeah,
very chatty person. So we live in a very, I would say, active neighborhood, meaning that there's people outside all of the time and people are playing with their kids and stuff. So I also made it a point to talk to all of my neighbors, one of which is your good friend, Lynn.
yeah.
Um, it's so funny that
It was
you
so
told me.
I know. We have to tell this story because it's
Yes.
hilarious. So I have a very good friend, Lynn. We hang out all the time, and we she's an awesome hostess. She's always having
Yes.
little parties. So I think I was at her Oscars party, and I was walking out of the Oscars party to go home, and I saw Evan, and I was like, "You look just like a TikToker that I follow."
And
And
I'm like,
Evan
it's
goes,
me.
"It's me," and I'm like, "No
Yeah.
way!" It was like I was meeting a celebrity. So
And it
but
was
yes.
funny. It was a funny
Mm.
moment for me as well, because sort of my neighbors that aren't on TikTok didn't really understand when I would tell. They're like, "How did you meet so many people?" I'm like, "TikTok," and they're like, What are you talking about?" And then Fernanda was like, "Oh my god, I know who you are." And they're like, "Whoa, wait, you're like on TikTok?" I was like, "I mean, in Charlotte, yes." I'm like, I know a group of
Yeah.
people, and yeah, so it was very funny. But so anyways, I started hanging out with her and some of
Yeah.
other neighbors. And then I, like Lynn, am also a very like host heavy party person.
Mhm.
So I just started like putting things together and volunteering to
Yeah.
do events. And I put on our neighborhood Halloween party, which had never been done before. We had like I want to say like 150 people ended up showing up. And I worked hard. And I think that's this thing that I really want to iterate here to a lot of people when you're trying to build friendships. It is not easy. Like, you have to do the work. Every time people ask me, "Well, how did you do this?" "Oh, well, you're just social." And it's like, well, I am social, but I have to try. I'm not naturally, when I was younger, I don't think I had a best friend until I was like 15 years old. I'm not that
Mm.
naturally that kind of person. And then throughout my high school years, I had, one or two really good friends. And then as I got older, I started building more friendships and things like
Yeah.
that, but it wasn't natural for me. So it is a lot of work. And every time someone asks me, or every time someone says, "Oh, well, it's so easy for you," it's like, well, it's not. I just put in the effort. I
You
also had
work at
moved.
it.
You work at it. And because I moved, I
Mhm.
didn't have any other friendships to fall back on, right? I didn't have, when you're living somewhere for a long time and you built your friend group, it's very easy to maybe meet one or two people through a job or something like that, and they become your friends. But when you're starting from scratch and you have nothing to fall back on, you really have to do that work, and you really have to see, okay, do I connect with these people? And then in another sense, you have like for me, I have a husband. And so if I'm meeting up with a woman and her husband, I want to make sure they get along as well. You know what I mean? You kind of have to work to
Yeah.
build these things. And, it takes a lot of time. I'm also super outgoing. My husband is very happy to never go anywhere. And so, I'm putting the baby to bed. I'm like, "Okay, I'm going. I'll see you later." And he's like, "Good luck. Have fun, stay safe." I'm like, "I'm doing it." So I think that
Awesome.
you do really, really, really have to try. And
Yeah.
I never want people to think that it's easy, because it's not.
It's not, but I wanted to kind of highlight what I heard from you just now for people in case they missed it is you organized new events and parties in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
and you said 150 people showed up. You know what that tells me? That tells me that people in your neighborhood and my neighborhood and everybody's neighborhood, they're all hungry for connection. And
100%.
and everyone's so busy. No, and most people don't take it upon themselves to organize anything. So when somebody organizes a neighborhood Halloween party for the first time, 150 people show up, and I've been in your neighborhood. Like, you don't
Yeah.
live in an apartment complex.
No.
You live in a residential, not dense area with lots and lots of houses. So 150 people tells me what? There's at least 40 houses who showed up or something. Maybe I
Yeah.
might be rounding the number incorrectly, but
Yeah. It's a
that's a
lot.
really big impact, you
But
know?
I think that's such a good point that you make, and something I realized too when I was trying to meet new people and
Mhm.
do these things. A lot of people don't want to be the person that puts themselves out there or take the risk of having the party or doing the event, right?
Mhm.
And I get that. It is scary. I remember my first happy hour that I organized. I was like convinced that one person was going to show up, and I was so anxious. But at the end of the day, people really do want to meet new people,
Mhm.
and maybe they don't want to be the one that organizes it. Maybe they're a little anxious to come to something on their own, and so they might come with a friend, but they really do want to meet new people. I
Yeah.
also will say I do put myself out there a lot online. You've seen my videos. I'm very clear with the person that I am. And so if you are going to hang out with me or meet up with me, you're
Mhm.
not going to be surprised by the person that I am. And so I think that's also very helpful, is being very candid and honest about the person that I am, because I'm not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. I don't
Right.
want to be for everybody. But people know when they meet me or they come up and, they see me, they understand the kind of person that they're trying to build a friendship with. And if they decide that I'm a good fit for them, then, some of the work is already done. But I think that's kind of a big part of it too, is being very candid and honest about who I am.
That's awesome. Yeah, I sometimes forget about that, and just being can totally open and vulnerable. Like, I'm a lot like you, where I want to be friends with everybody, and I want everybody,
Yeah.
but I need to work on my discernment personally, because I think I'm like too eager to be friends with every single person that I meet, and I have to remind. I think you're giving me a really good reminder that, first of all, I'm not for everybody. Second of all, not everybody is for me.
Yes. Yeah, and
And
that's
that's
kind of a hard
okay.
pill to swallow too. That always
Yeah.
feels a little bit bad. And I have not met a single person where I'm like, oh my God, I never want to speak to them again or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's just we're in really different stages of our lives or anything like that. Like I'm 37, so I'm in my late
Mhm.
30s. I have friends that are in their early 20s. I have friends that are in their 50s. That's the other thing, is I feel like when I was in my 20s, I was like, oh, I'm not going to hang out with older people or younger people. I was just like,
Mm.
but now, especially living in kind of suburbia in this neighborhood, my friendships vary. I have friends that have kids, that don't have kids, that are, like I said, in their 50s or in their 20s. And I'm okay with that. It's not really about age anymore. It's really about like, okay, well, what sorts of things do we have in common?
Yeah.
But I also will say there are certain people that I met and right away I knew, I'm like, oh, well, these are going to be really good friends of mine. Sometimes you can kind of pick up on that really quickly. I have a few friends, even some friends that had joined my book club, and we had
Yeah.
talked and stuff like that, but we finally decided after months to do something one-on-one, and now they've become my best friends because we ended up like kind of breaking the
Yeah.
barrier of the group hangout, and then of course became very close, which I
Yeah.
think is awesome as well. But yeah, that's
Part
work.
just when I emphasize the book club idea, I also belong to a book club, and I feel because of the repetition and you get to see the same people over and over again, I've become really good friends with with the
Oh
ladies
yeah.
in the book club. And now we're hanging out. Like, even today we're gonna go to a happy hour, like outside of
Yeah.
book club.
Yes.
Um, so anybody who's listening to this, if you have an opportunity to join a book club, it's not about the
Or
books.
any kind of club. It's not about the book, but any kind of thing that interests you. If you like
Yeah.
pickleball or tennis or golf, or you just
Yeah.
join a group with people with a similar interest to you, you're
Mhm.
likely to
Mhm.
find a close friend there. And sometimes you have
Yeah.
to try a few things, but yeah, I mean, same with our book club. We love it. I make a point. We do talk about the book because I love
What book
reading. So
what books do you guys read?
we read everything. Right now, our August book is Daggermouth, which is a dystopian novel that came out
Oh,
I think it was like, it just got re-released in July. So we just read that.
okay.
Before that, we read a murder mystery. We read everything. So we pick a theme every month and then we vote on books in that theme. So
Okay.
we kind of
Nice.
have, yeah, it's very fun. But yeah, I mean, every single person in that book club is someone I met through TikTok. It's not one person came with another friend. Not one person was like someone that I knew. It's every single person was on TikTok. And I will also say something. I think this is a really good point to make because when I first decided to start this book club, I posted on
Mhm.
TikTok about it. The first video didn't really do very well, but I got some reach out. The second video, I ended up doing a Google Sheet and I had 575 people sign up to want to be a part of the book club. That's
Yeah,
an insane amount of people that
it's
wanted to be in a book club.
crazy.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do a first meetup. I'll send out invites. It's going to be somewhere big and we'll see how many people actually come. So I did the invite. I had 90 people RSVP yes. When it came down to day of, only 25 people showed up.
Mhm, mhm,
And, and it was kind of, I was like, wow, we went from 500 to 90 to 25 because
mhm.
realistically, oftentimes people want to be a part of something, but then they get nervous or they don't actually want to, or they just feel like, I think this happens a lot with social media where they see a bunch of other people doing it. So then they start doing it. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
they're like, oh, well,
yeah.
there's 300 comments here. So I want to be one of those comments too, or whatever it might
Mhm.
be. But the amazing thing is, of those 25 people that came to the first book club, there's about 15 that have been there since day one. So those are the real, like, okay, these are the people who came from day one and they really wanted to be a part of it. And now we have such a great time and we enjoy our book club so much. And I think that it's such a great opportunity to build friendships. And as I said, for everyone else in the book club, like some people are from Charlotte, some people are from different areas, some people are, from different states, whatever it is. But again, they're trying to make friends who have something in common with them. And sometimes
Yeah,
finding that commonality, like a book or like pickleball or tennis or whatever it may be, is the easiest way. I also joined a mahjong group with a bunch of women in my neighborhood. Um,
nice.
that it's again super fun. There's so many people that live in our neighborhood. Would I have normally met all of these people and hang out with them? No, but is it so much fun? Yes. And I'm so happy I'm doing it.
Yeah,
So I think
that's all.
that, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna
No.
say because I've hosted a lot of free. I've hosted a lot of events. Some of them were free. Some of them were paid, but very low cost.
Yeah.
And just so you know, like for the free events, usually it's only 30% of people who actually show up. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if you had that same experience prior, but like 25 out of 90 to me it sounds very real and normal.
Yeah.
Even though like you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, it might be close to 90 people," but 25 is still a really good show up.
It's a great
And
number.
the fact that 15 of them stayed regular,
Yeah.
that shows that they're getting a good value. They're loving it. They're loving it
Yes.
just as much as you are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I will say though, I did get a little bit frustrated afterwards because I spent so much time trying to find a place for us to all fit because so many people had RSVP'd.
Hmm.
I had messaged multiple times and said, remember, if you can't come, please remove your RSVP. Yes, we really need an accurate head count. And I ended up posting afterwards and I said, I'm not mad that people didn't come. I just think that you need to be more thoughtful with the people who are hosting
Hmm.
events and being more considerate because I had to do a lot of work to find a place where we could be, and you guys decided not to show up without saying anything, and that I don't think is okay. I think that is a very, change your RSVP. It's not very hard to go from yes to
Exactly.
no. And
Yeah.
I got a few messages from people, and they were like, "Oh, my anxiety, this, that." I'm like, I understand not coming. That's okay. You don't have to. I don't know you. You don't owe me anything. But for the future, I think you should be a little bit more considerate of people's time and the efforts that they put into things. And simply changing from a yes to a no is the most considerate thing you can do.
Oh, that's such a good point, Evan. And I hope whoever listens to this learns for it, because I've been a meetup organizer for over 15 years, and
Yes.
that's one of my biggest pet peeves is just change your
Yeah.
RSVP. It
Well, why are
doesn't
you
take
saying
that.
yes if you're not going to go? It's the weirdest
Yeah,
thing. I know.
because there was a lot of times when I was organizing meetups for languages, we had the similar
Mm,
issue where we had a higher RSVP and then only a segment of people would show up. But I did have one group in Chicago. It was a very prolific and popular Spanish group
mm.
where we were having the opposite problem, where only 12 people would RSVP and 30 people would show
Oh my
up.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
So, like, usually it seems like a good problem to have. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we're going to have,
No,
but
but
at
if you're
some
not
point,
prepared for it, yeah.
yeah, I started getting irritated. I'm like, how do I know how many tables to reserve if I don't know who's coming? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes both ways.
Goes both ways. Yeah. I think it's just consideration we're all looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh gosh, but
yeah.
it's so cool. So like the TikTok thing. First of all, I'm a big fan. I love your
Thank you.
videos, and I think you do a great job. You're very always very natural and warm, and you can tell very like genuine when you're
Thank
talking
you.
to people, to us, your audience.
To yeah, sometimes it's two people that see it though. This is the funny thing about TikTok is like sometimes it's a billion people that see it, and sometimes it's literally two people that see it, and you never know. You're like,
You
okay, and that's
never know.
you never know, and that's what's so funny is like with book club and that video going so crazy, or
Yeah.
the first meetup one that I did where or the first time I said that I wanted to make friends, I could never have anticipated those would be the ones that go really crazy, or I remember one
Yeah.
time I posted a video and I called in California, if you have an outdoor event in your backyard, you call it a barbecue. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
Um, apparently in the Carolinas, you do not. And I got hundreds of thousands of views and people yelling at me saying, "It's a cookout. It's not a barbecue." Da, 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 da. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not
It's a
from here.
cultural difference. So
I
funny, the
know.
cultural differences. Ooh, but you know, sharing your life on TikTok the way that you share, it takes a lot of guts. Like I want to
Exactly,
give you some props, like especially when you're feeling vulnerable. Like is this something that you said earlier that this is something you work hard at it. It's not easy or anything. But like where does that courage come from, I guess, is what I want to ask.
I mean, honestly, it comes from encouragement that I get from people who follow me or message me or say like, "Oh, I'm new here too. I'm doing this. I'd love to hang out." And that's what keeps me going. That's what makes me want to keep talking about it and keep posting about it and keep putting my vulnerabilities out there because anytime, even if it's just one person feels the same way I do, I feel like I'm so happy to give them one other person that aligns with whatever they're struggling with or whatever it might be, and not that everything is such a struggle. Sometimes it's just funny stories or sometimes it's experiences. I told a story that got a lot of traction about this friend group that I had joined,
Okay.
again through some people I met through TikTok, and I ended up meeting a couple of these people. And one of the girls randomly one day ended up we her and another girl, another girl in the text message had said something to her and said, "Hey, it's really kind of hurts my feeling that every time we bring up something, you immediately turn it on you and you don't really ever ask us how we're doing." And she
Mm.
ended up blocking all of us, and we never blocked us all on Instagram, TikTok, phone numbers, everything, like without saying a word. Just, and we were like, what happened? And I didn't really know her. I'd only met her maybe 3 times. And so I'm like, what did
Mhm.
I do? I don't even know this person. This is crazy. And I told that story. I said, I've never had this experience before, especially with an adult person, in their
Mhm.
mid to late 30s. You'd think that you would be a little more mature than that, but I guess not. And they never said anything to me. They didn't explain. And that's fine. Again, not my really good friend. She was a good friend to one of the other girls in the group who actually wasn't the person that had said anything. And they had gone on trips together. They'd done a lot of stuff together, and she just totally dropped them. And I think that was a really big learning moment for me. And I had a couple other on the flip side, I had a lot of people message me and say, group messages can be very overwhelming. And like, I've done that before and da da da. And I'm like, look, I understand. I'm not trying to I'm just explaining this experience was very odd for me. I've never experienced anything like this before. And
Yeah.
I understand getting overwhelmed and feeling, the pressures of friendship or whatever it may be. And I get that. And, I never wanted to make her feel bad or feel uncomfortable, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
But I also think that we're adults and, there if someone isn't right for you, or if you don't feel like you any longer want to be a part of something, I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying like, "Hey guys, like I'm going to jump out," like, or you know what, I don't think this is right for me. I think to
Yeah.
full ghost someone is sort of crazy, especially friendship. I don't know. But it was
But
it
it's
was
so
interesting to hear both
common.
sides. I guess
Yeah.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was such a crazy story, but I got so many messages saying like, "Oh yeah, this happened to me," or da da da, and like, did I do? And a lot of people are asking like, did I do something wrong? Like, I'm questioning myself. Like, am I a bad person? This or that? And from what I heard from most of the people who are the ones that do the blocking, they're struggling a lot with certain things on their own, and the easiest thing for them
Mm,
to do is block. So I'm trying to remember that and have empathy for those people, but also remember their choices are not my fault. And if I can truly honestly say I did not do anything, which in this case I did not do anything, I'm just part of this group message, then that's
mhm.
okay. And I don't think this is a person that I want to spend my time with and be
Yeah.
with anymore. I don't think that we're ever going to be best friends either way. And again, that's okay. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about really, you know, understanding that you're not for everyone and everyone is not for you, and not to force it. And I think after that friendship group that happened, it was really like eye-opening for me, because I had in the beginning tried very hard to, like I said, meet up with every person and try to have these
Mhm.
conversations. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? No, now I've sort of built the foundation of friendship here. And I need to make sure that I'm with people who align with the person that I am, and that, that we can really get along and that we can actually have a good time. Because you don't have to be like some of my neighbors. We don't have much in common, but we have our kids, or we just like to have fun, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Reality is, if we met somewhere else where we weren't neighbors, would we still be friends? Probably not.
Mhm.
But because we're neighbors, it's kind of forced proximity, right? So you end up
Yeah.
being friends. But with choosing friendship outside of that, outside of people in your neighborhood, it's like you're really choosing who you want to spend your time with, and time is valuable and time is important,
Yeah.
especially when you're trying to build your entire life. And for me, I'm a parent, I'm a partner, um, I work, I have my own
Mhm.
business and all these things. And so it's like I have to be thoughtful in what I'm choosing, while also being kind.
Yes.
And I think that that is another kind of hard balance to find.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And by the way, Evan, everything you're saying, I'm like, she's talking about me and my reality. I completely agree. I completely resonate, agree, and relate to everything you said. I want to emphasize one cool thing you were saying. I think it warrants a little bit of a discussion here. The concept of friends ghosting or blocking, or like blocking everybody and leaving the chat group or whatever, this is something that unfortunately I do hear and experience a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
But it's not, I think it's important for us to remember it's not how things used to be. Like when
Mm-mm.
you back in before the internet and all the social media and the chat groups, you had a group of friends. Somebody didn't just decide to just poof disappear and ghost
Right.
everybody else. Usually if something happened, there was like a discussion or something,
Right.
or somebody moved away and then they just kind of
Exactly.
uh, but I think I just want to bring up, there's a book I'm very excited to read. It's called The Company We Keep by
Okay.
a lady that I love. Her name is Alex L. And she was in a podcast the other day, and she said something really important that I think resonates with what you're saying. She said, look, friends who will ghost you, they are not emotionally safe. Like if they're gonna ghost you, you know that you're not safe with them. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like at least have the decency and the respect to give somebody the closure that,
Closure.
right?
Exactly. I totally
So
agree.
that, and I can't wait for this book. Once I read it, I'll definitely do a podcast about it. But and I think I'm starting to look at it too, because I've been ghosted here. There's been the situation you just described happened to me, and it's hard, because we're just trying to be friends with people. So when somebody just decides to like walk out of your life, you're like, what? I thought we were friends. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah, so there's been some lessons there. I've been through that too. Um, and some of it is emotional maturity, I think, is
Yeah.
what you're trying to allude to, is at least have the emotional maturity to close things off like an adult. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Uh,
That's exactly it. And I think that
yeah.
a lot of people struggle with that. And
Hmm.
like I said, I just try to remember that if I can truly say I didn't do anything, we didn't get into an argument or anything like that. Like it's just not,
Yeah.
it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's not my problem. And they need to kind of, they need to get through what they need to get through. And maybe
Hmm.
if they come back in a couple of months and are like, I'm really sorry, that was kind of crazy behavior, and they take accountability, sure, we can chat again. But like I said, at the end of the day, as much as I love making new friends and I want to meet as many people as possible, I am not so desperate that I have to meet people who are not emotionally compatible with me.
Right, right, right. Especially since you've already done such a good job. You've already built a good little community. You're nurturing your community with your book club and your other clubs. So you're definitely not in a position like anywhere near desperate at this point, right?
Well, I felt like that in the beginning. I really did. I felt,
Yeah.
and it feels, I mean, it feels so isolating, especially for me. I'd never moved when we moved to North Carolina. I'd not moved outside
Mhm.
of a 40-mile radius my entire life. Like I was born and
No.
raised in LA. I went to college in Orange County. I lived in Orange County and LA and back and forth, and that was it. I had traveled and things like that, but I mean, really, I'd never left anywhere. My friends, most of my friend group were my same
Mhm.
friends that I made towards the end of my high school career, and I had some new friends, of course, but like, I
Yeah.
really lived a very, I don't want to say small life because that's not the right way to put it, but a very like, I was just in one place and I did one thing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was it. And so moving again was a really big thing. And I remember everyone being like, aren't you nervous? Because I was 36 at the time that I moved for the first time like that. And everyone's like, are you nervous? And I was like, I'm not, because I've been doing the same thing for so long that I'm just ready for change. Like, of course, there are things that I'm a little bit anxious about, but at the time in my
Mhm.
life, I had been having some struggles with my mom, and her and I weren't on speaking terms at that time. And I, I didn't have that thing holding me back. And I had this new baby, and I really wanted her to live I wanted her to be able to play in the street. And as you know, we live on this like really adorable
Mm.
cul-de-sac, and she gets to play
Yeah.
outside and do all these things. And I just wanted to provide her with something a little bit different than what we were living in then. And so it really didn't feel hard. Obviously, leaving my friends were hard, and I love them so
Mhm.
much. But on the kind of on the flip side of what we were saying of, in the 90s, if you couldn't go someone, well, now I can see my friends every day. I can talk to my friends. I see their stories. I see I send them memes and da da
It's
da da.
true.
So there's also this deep connection that we can have because of, social media. So sometimes I'll look and I'm like, gosh, I haven't texted so and so in so long. And then I look, I'm like, oh, well, we've literally talked on Instagram every single day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
So
another
I think
thing.
that's helpful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
But
that's it.
I was just gonna say two things about what you said. Moving from a completely different city, uh, and the things that happen when you move. Like I can share two quick stories and see if you felt that too. Like even like when I moved here, it was all for positive reasons. We chose to move here, but I actually got depressed after I moved here for like 2 to 3 months. It was definitely a circumstantial depression, but I think it was a little bit of grief about the life that I left behind.
Sure.
And I was very lonely, and I was also just feeling like, that depressing feeling. And what I ended up, the way that I was able to snap out of it was by forcing myself to go to my Zumba class, because
Oh, yeah.
we belong to this gym here, the JCC. It's got really
Oh,
great
we're there
Zumba.
too.
You do? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. It's the
really
best.
great. It's the best. I might see you there.
Yeah.
That Zumba class like kind of snapped me out of my funk, you know what I mean?
Okay. I have to
And
try it.
and and much later, 2, 3, oh my gosh, I'm losing track of time, but Filled Cups, we host a women's group. This young lady came from Miami, and she had just moved, and she also moved for because she wanted to. It was like the right reasons for her professionally and all of that. And she was struggling with the same thing. Like she's like, I'm feeling kind of depressed. Like I left all my friends behind. I left my life back there. And so she worked through it. She also went to Zumba. Maybe this is an ad for Zumba, but
Maybe it's
anyway.
a Zumba, yeah.
But one thing I was gonna say is I forgot. Sorry, I forgot about this part of the story. Once I was like feeling like I had no friends and feeling that scarcity about friends and stuff, I made a point, and so did this young woman that we're talking about, of reconnecting with my friends from Chicago or Kansas or Colorado, because I have friends in other cities. And I'm like, you know what? Even if I don't have friends here in
You
Charlotte,
still have
I
friends.
ha- I still have really good friends from other cities that I can call or do a video call with, or even just send a voice message to. Did you go
Yeah.
through the same thing?
I would kind of say I almost went through the opposite, and I'll explain, and hopefully this makes sense. But I threw myself so deeply into making friends here, and so hard into. I mean, like I was meeting up with people 3 or 4 nights a week. Like I was going so hard that I remember I'd moved in May, and it was June, end of June, and I had forgot to text my girlfriend on her birthday,
Mhm.
and I felt so guilty about that because I was like, oh my God. I am so involved in trying to build this life so that I don't fail here that I actually
Mhm.
forgot about this person that's very important to me's birthday. And I remember feeling so incredibly guilty about it and just feeling like, wow, okay, I need to kind of pull back because I threw myself so deep into life here that I almost like I almost completely pulled back from my friends at home and people that I would talk to every day because I was just like, no, I need to build these friendships here. I need to build a life here. I need to
Mhm.
get things settled here. So now I really try to find a balance of, and I actually made it a point in the new year. I made it one of my resolutions is to try to reach out to my friends at least once a week and just check in on them and see how they are. And like I said, we're talking often on social media and things like that, but really trying to make sure that they know that just because I moved doesn't mean that they're not extremely important to me and that I want to spend time with them. One of my girlfriends just had her 40th birthday, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go back to California to celebrate with her. And so I kind of found out what she was doing on her birthday. They were going on a little trip, and I called the restaurant and I ordered her a bottle of champagne and I got it sent to the table so that
Aw,
she would have that because I was like, well, I really can't be there, but like, what can I do to kind of make her feel like, she's not forgotten and that I love her and that I want her, I want to be a part of it. So it's just little things
that's
like
so
that I try
cool.
to think about, or just making sure I'm commenting on everyone's posts or liking every story, which kind of feels silly, but I actually in the last couple of months I've gotten multiple messages from people that said like, "Hey, I noticed that you always like comment and like on my posts. Like, thank you so much. I really appreciate it." And I'm like, that's why we're doing this. You know what I mean? We're not posting on social media because we want to be ignored, right? We want people to
Yeah.
interact with us, and so I make a point to really do that, and I think that that helps.
I think I saw a video of yours on TikTok where you were talking kind of about this concept of
Yes.
like, hey, if you are connected with us on social media, like engage with our stuff because it, it's a feedback loop, and I think you mentioned you might have met somebody who told you that they had seen your stuff but they never once liked or commented on any. Was that you? Because it was either you or somebody else who I follow because I it resonated with me
I
because
mean, I have
I
that experience. Yeah. I
yeah.
what I talked about was more so, people aren't just putting themselves on the internet to put themselves out there.
Mhm.
It's a risk. It's trying to build friendships and trying to build community. And if the people that you're closest with,
Mhm.
the people that you're closest with, your friends should be the ones that are automatically liking, commenting, and doing everything. That should be a given.
Yeah.
Those main
Yeah.
people in your life, that should be a given. If they see it, that should be a given. And then beyond that, with the friends that you're making and building, whatever it is. But I make a point, like I said, I make a point to like every story, to hopefully comment on every post, and just really make sure people feel like
Yeah.
you're doing this. I see you. All we want to do is
Yeah.
be seen. Everybody just wants to be seen.
And connecting and like because I don't have as big of an audience as you do, but uh I don't like my when I post stuff on Instagram. I'm more on Instagram. I do TikTok too, but I have a bigger following on Instagram. And the I it's weird for me. Like I'm putting myself out there and sharing. Only maybe I'll get a little bit of engagement from people I know, but then later when I'm out in the wild, people will tell me that they've saw some video of mine,
Yeah.
but they never commented or liked on it.
Yeah, they're
So
like,
I
"Why
had
why didn't you do anything? What am I doing wrong?" Yeah, it's the funniest thing.
but I mean, I know but people aren't obliged to do that kind of stuff, but it does make a difference to the creators. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It
and
does
I
make
think
a
any
difference to us.
person, even a person who isn't trying to do anything on social media, they just wanna post a
Yeah.
picture of their dog or whatever it is. They're posting it because
Yeah.
they're proud of the picture that they took, and I think that something as simple as liking or commenting on a photo takes 10 seconds, and it is so
Mhm.
impactful for so many people. It makes them feel seen, and again, I think that everyone just wants to be seen.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, Evan, thank you so much for being open with us today. I think what you've built out of what was honestly a really hard and lonely time is such a beautiful reminder that connection is possible even when it doesn't come easily at first. If you want to keep up with Evan, I highly recommend it. Go find her on TikTok at Evan Alexis Oliver, and I'll put that in the show notes too. Her page is full of honest reflections on friendship, her life in Charlotte, and yes, some really good coffee shop recommendations too. And to everyone listening, if this episode stirred something in you, if you're in a season of starting over or just feeling a little disconnected, I hope Evan's story reminded you that you're not the only one and that building your people is absolutely possible. It might take one brave post or an awkward first meetup or a book club you show up to not knowing anyone. Thank you for spending time with us. Make sure you like and subscribe and stay connected. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.